And then as you think about what happens after you get the funds, I know I touched on it just a minute ago, but
Mhm.
my career actually started out with program evaluations. I
Oh,
love, I love program eval. My dissertation was a program evaluation on a youth
ah,
program, a youth entrepreneurship program. And
that's
so,
great.
so I am very passionate about, okay, once we have this, we have to keep it. How are we going to track the data? How are we going to collect the data and track it? And then remember that we have to report what we did with the money to the funders.
Hello, hello, hello. It's Holly Rustick here with Grant Writing and Funding. And I am so excited as we continue to grow this podcast and really start bringing on freelance grant writers that are out there building their businesses. And today I have a very special guest for y'all because she is inside the Freelance Grant Writer Academy. And this is Dr. Lauren Hopkins. And she is the CEO, the owner and principal consultant of Prepared to Impact. So welcome, Lauren. So good to have you here on the show.
Thank you, Holly. I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited.
Yes, yes. And it's so great because we were just talking in the green room and I was like, oh my gosh, you've only actually been in the program a few months and look at how much how many things you've got going on. So I wanted to bring you on and be like, hey, you gotta share. Yes.
Oh, it has. This time has gone by really fast, and
Yeah.
I've accomplished so much, and I'm really excited because, like you said, I have several more months to go, so I'm excited
Oh
for
yeah.
the
I
future.
love that. And yeah, it was great to see you come on and just be like, I really want to grow my business. I really want to get more specific in my services. And you offer amazing services and a very specific ones as well for when people want to join, especially for smaller nonprofits. So do you just want to kind of talk about like who you serve and why you actually were attracted to serving this type of nonprofit?
Oh, sure. So, hey everyone, I am Dr. Lauren. I'm so happy to speak with you today. And with my services, I more so cater to smaller and grassroots nonprofit organizations. And one of my key services that I provide to these organizations is the Master Grant Application Template. I do know that, sometimes hiring a grant writer may not be in your budget. Oftentimes, as we are serving our communities. And let me say first that I'm a social worker also. So I
Mhm.
know our heart for serving the community. And sometimes our budgets may not allow us to hire a grant writer, even though that may be the goal. So what I want to do is equip you with the tools to be able to write those grants and secure that funding until you are able to hire a freelance grant writer or have a grant writer on your team. So that is my goal. So I
Mhm.
offer the master grant application template. I also have another package where I will be happy to write a few grants for you, do some searching. And then if you have the capacity within your budget to hire me on, I will be able to write several grants for you within a few months and hopefully get some of those, get some of the funds generated
Mhm.
for your
Mhm.
organization so you can continue to impact the community and help the clients that you strive to serve.
I love that so much. And I love that
Yes.
you're bringing your sociology, or sociology, right, background
Social
in
work.
or social work background into this as well. And that's really important for like that trauma informed kind of background and all of that, right? To be able to interact, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm sure
Absolutely.
that's so beneficial. And within the nonprofits that you serve, I love that you also are coming at them like, I understand your budget. I understand where you are because a lot of grant writers, right? They may have like freelance grant writers, they may start at, 5,000 a month or 2,500 a month, and
Mhm.
that's just how they operate. And so they might not be the best connected for really small grassroots nonprofits just because that's
Right.
outside of the scope of budget, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. If I may add,
Yeah.
recently I have had a surplus of small businesses reach out to me also.
Mm,
And so
mhm,
several of my recent clients that I have started working with have been small businesses and some of our mob and pop organizations that are trying to get larger, but they need the funding to do so. And I offer the same services for them too.
Yeah, and I like that too because it's like that's really interesting, and it's like also they're kind of in the same boat, right? They're starting out,
Mhm.
like, and a nonprofit is a business, right? It's just a
Yep.
different type of business. So it's also like thinking about when you're starting a nonprofit. We talked about budget, but sometimes we need to expand that budget just because we have to look
Mm.
at it as an investment, right?
Yes. Yes,
A seed
absolutely.
campaign, capital funding that goes into, right? And part of that can be going, obviously, it should be going to a grant writer to help you either get set up and prepared for
Mhm.
grants, right? Or to
Mhm.
start writing like you're doing as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Holly, I really like it too, because especially with some of these smaller nonprofits and the businesses, sometimes, and as you get started with the business, you have your ideas, and sometimes we just have to glue it together. So I feel like, working with me or working with another grant writer, even a freelance for a couple weeks or a couple months, can really help to fine tune some of those services that you may provide, get some clarity on your mission and your vision and whatnot. I was actually writing a grant for someone earlier today, and I said, okay, I need to call her to fully understand what she's trying to
Mhm.
say. And so and we got on the phone, and she was able to articulate that. And what I will do is go ahead and put that on paper, because if you can explain it to me, then hopefully I can put it on paper so the funders can understand to your vision.
I love that. I love that
Yeah.
so much because it's like building a business plan, right? That first master grant application, right? That you can do
Hmm.
for someone,
Hmm.
it is essentially a very robust business plan. So looking at that, and we use that terminology inside the academy, the master grant application. I teach you guys
Right,
how to
right.
create one and use it, right? So for those people who might not know what that is, like how would you explain what
Yeah.
a master grant application is? Yeah.
Yes. So with the master grant application, it is really, think of it like a toolbox with everything that you need. Well, the most of everything that you're going to need for your grant applications. And so you have your cover letters, or a cover letter, a letter of intent, you have your needs statement and
Mhm.
your needs assessment, you have your budget, you have your budget narrative, your evaluation plan. How are we going to evaluate this program now that we have the funding? How are we going to keep the funding and report it, and those sorts of things? And though we have a heart to serve as a human service professional, I know we have a heart to serve, but like you said, it is the business aspect. So we need to make sure that we have all those things. So with the master grant application template, you'll have all of that within a document. So when you find a grant proposal that you want to apply for, a grant opportunity that you
Mhm.
want to apply for, you can just go to that toolbox and hopefully customize it to meet the
Mhm.
needs of that grant application or that grant proposal that you want to submit. That's the goal. So yeah.
Yeah, so you're not always starting from scratch for every single
Mhm.
opportunity that comes out, and then you're not drifting, right? You're
Exactly.
not, yeah, they do that
Exactly.
mission drifting, chasing the money. They all call it different things for a reason because if you don't have something like that, like you said, where you know what, I just have to like what I really help with is put a program together and help them
Mhm.
articulate it in words and create a budget that makes sense for it and all of that. So powerful because so many nonprofits,
Yes.
oh my gosh, so many passionate ideas, but not really thought through in a
Yep.
business plan kind of way. It's kind of like, but this is needed.
Exactly.
Well, according to who? We
Right.
like,
Right.
yeah, it's
Exactly.
like we have
Exactly.
to show some sources here. We got to back it up.
Mhm.
What's the most impact? So turning it into that makes them really think about the program in a different way, in a very tangible way, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And then as you think about what happens after you get the funds, I know I touched on it just a minute ago, but
Mhm.
my career actually started out with program evaluations.
Oh,
I love program eval. My dissertation was a program evaluation on a youth
ah,
program, a youth entrepreneurship program. And
that's very
so,
cool.
yeah, so I am very passionate about, okay, once we have this, we have to keep it. How are we going to track the data? How are we going to collect the data and track it? And then remember that we have to report what we did with the money to the funders. you know? And so sometimes they may not ask for it directly. Sometimes they'll send you a form and say, hey, at the end of the fiscal year, go ahead and send this, but we need to have that information readily available. And that is another part of my heart. Program evaluations, needs assessments, and grants, they
Uh,
really just mesh together.
Oh yeah, and my goodness, like the nonprofits that work with you, then they're so blessed because that is such a huge thing for you to come in with that skill set of knowing, I know how to do program eval, like your
Yes.
dissertation on it.
Oh,
And that's not like a side hustle, that's like a dissertation. Right? So
yes,
I love
yes, I
that.
love it.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank
that's
you.
so tied into grants, like so tied in. So they definitely have,
Hmm.
you know, they definitely have a benefit hiring you because you have that background for sure, for sure. So,
Yes, so thank you.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that, you've been able to secure quite a bit of money, even just in the last few months. Like I love, like
Yeah.
last week, you're like $385,000 we got, and these
Yeah.
are startup nonprofits, girl. Like I was like, oh my gosh, killing it. Yeah, I love it, love it. So
It's
talk,
been so good.
yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, in the past few months, I've been working with the Freelance Grant Academy for
Mhm.
about 3 months now, and I have just noticed my services are clearer, and I
Mhm.
really enjoy the community that we have. And I think that it's helped to build my confidence, especially even with my writing.
Yeah.
One thing that I do really enjoy with the Academy is the ability for your team, Holly, to look over grant proposals. I have not utilized that service yet, I must be honest, but I do know that it is there. And if I'm a little leery on a grant proposal, or if I need someone to look over, I do know that I have you all in my back pocket. So
Yeah.
yes, I've been
Yeah.
so blessed to be able to secure several grants in the past few
Yeah.
months for nonprofits, and these are all local grassroots nonprofits. And yeah, I mean these have been foundation grants anywhere from $10,000 to $385,000, and this
Even got a
was
50K one in there, you've gotten a lot, like, you got a
yes,
50K one? Yeah, yeah,
I got
yeah.
a $50,000 one to foundations, and then local governments also.
Mhm,
So I have not branched out into the federal yet,
mhm.
but I'm sure that is coming, and hopefully I can partner with someone to do my first one there. But I'm just very excited about what's to come.
So amazing. Like basically when we're looking at the grants just in the last few months that you've secured, it's about a 500,000. So I mean, that's amazing. Yeah.
Thank
And I love,
you.
yeah. And I love, like, I know you said you don't use the grant review yet, but you've been using the business review, which has been fun
Yes,
to really like review, hey, this pitch that's going out or this proposal, right? Like how my services are structured and how, because
yes,
I know that before we started, you're like, that's been one of the biggest things in this program is I've gotten so clear about my services because of talking about it and going back and
absolutely.
forth and doing the work. So can you talk about that? Because that's a huge thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so, before I started, I've been writing grants for several years now. However, I was not very clear about the services.
Mm,
I would say, "Hey, I'm going to write this, and it's a couple hours, and here's my invoice or whatnot." However, I just was not very clear about, hey, what all can I do? What all can I do to help your organization? And
mm.
so that's where the freelance grant
Writer
writer
Academy.
academy.
You just love Academy, girl. We got you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so that's where I'm just going to say the academy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
where
yeah.
the academy came in and really helped. And even our group sessions, as I am listening to others, even now, say, hey, this is what I'm going to offer. And this is what I want to provide my clients. Hey, Holly, what do you think about that? It's so beneficial. And so when I think my first group there, or my first group coaching session,
Mhm,
I believe it was one of our colleagues, and she was going over her packages. I
mhm.
said, oh my goodness. I did not even realize that I could offer something like this. So it really has opened up my mind to new possibilities. And then I put into our Slack channel some options for packaging. And I love your honest feedback and your videos. I do, and that's what we need. And
Mhm.
so you said, "Hey, I like this, but have you thought about this? Or let's consider this." And the community just overall, it's very helpful with other grant writers on the Slack channel and within our group that everyone's just very encouraging and inspiring, but also very honest. Say, "Hey, have you thought about this? Hey, here's another resource for you. Hey,
Mhm.
I've done this. Maybe you can do this too, or adapt it or whatnot." So it really just gets the mind going. So those business reviews have been so helpful. They're so
Yeah.
helpful.
And then you
Mhm.
I love it. I love it. And I love looking at it. And yeah, listen, we do honest. We don't like
Yeah.
just sugarcoat it, but we're like, hey, this is what we see is gonna work or not work, or how do you look at this? So I love
Yeah.
that you came in like kind of, and a lot of freelancers, when they start off without some type of structure like this or a program like this, they're just kind of like doing the work that comes to them. Right. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like if someone comes to them and say, hey, can you write this grant? They're like, okay. And then they gotta like, then they kind of beat themselves up for a week because they're trying to figure out their pricing around it and what that would even look
Yeah.
like. And they're in this silo of trying to do that. And it's very difficult. Right.
Yes. You are literally describing me a few months ago. Like, you are
I
speaking to
was
me.
there too. I know you because that was me. And that's why I made this program because I was like, we're
Yeah.
all doing that out there. And it's hard and it's confusing and it's not efficient and it's not helpful to really be able to get out there and bam, start working with nonprofits right away and start serving them and helping
Mm.
them and just getting that out of the way so you can do your work. Right.
Right,
So, yeah.
exactly. Well, and you know what, too? Oftentimes, we think about when we reach out to a service professional, even something going on with your house, and you say, "Hey, something's going on," and they say, "Okay, this is what we can offer you." Same thing with our grant writing services. "Hey, I need some help. All right, let me tell you some options for you." You know what I mean? As opposed to, "Hey, I have this such grant. Can you help me write it?" You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we're really being able to package something together for them that we feel and that we know will be beneficial for their organization and based on their organizational size too, their
Yeah.
size, their budget. There are different packages available and different services available to them. So as we get to know them, we can sort of tailor it, I like to say.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that
Mhm.
your niche though, like you figured out like who you love to work with, grassroots organizations, those that are starting,
Yeah.
startup businesses, right? Like getting their first kind of grants in the door, getting that structure like figured out for them. And
Mm.
that is very niche, right? And but there's a lot of nonprofits that need that assistance too.
Yes.
So, and then bringing your background into it, going, I know how to evaluate things. I know what people are going to be looking at and funding sources are going to be looking at. So
Mm.
let's structure this from the beginning, right?
Right,
So,
right.
yeah, so good.
Exactly.
And then through this program, you've been able to say, okay, now I can actually create services. So when people reach out to me, or I can then actively know who to reach out to and what would work well for them, right? And be able to offer
Absolutely,
this
yeah.
package. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to do when someone reaches out to me is, oftentimes I've gotten some work by word of mouth, and then others. Well, I'll post on social media. But when they reach out, of course, I will schedule a 30-minute free consultation with them, and I will come with my questions
Yeah.
for them to figure out, hey, what is it you need? Tell me about your organization. Who do you serve and whatnot? And then it'll help me to determine, hey, are we ready to work together? Or do you need some guidance to get there? And if you need some guidance to get there, I can help you do that too. And
Mhm.
so, but that's actually one of my favorite parts is doing that consultation and really just getting to know these organizational leaders and the type of services that are available in our communities.
Right. I love that. And then you have like already, like I have this service or I have this service I can offer them depending on where they're at. So
Exactly.
it's not like, okay, I gotta like figure this out in 2 weeks, and like all you
Yeah.
already know like what works, but it just kind of depends like what the nuances of their situation are, which one would be better for them, which service, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
so
And
good. And your
if
pricing,
I
you know
might.
your pricing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I was going to say. In the past, well, I say in the past, it's really just been a few months, but in the past, they would reach out and I say, okay, give me about a week. I'll put a proposal together for you. And sometimes if it is something customized, of course, I would do that. If they need some evaluation with it or whatnot, I'll go ahead and put that together. But overall, I will, I can go ahead and listen to them and say, hey, this is what I can offer and suggest, all right, based on where your organization is currently, this is what I feel may be helpful to you. And so listening to them and listening to their needs, especially with those smaller grassroots organizations and smaller nonprofits, that seems to be very, very helpful for them.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's listening, and it is like if you have like you might have like your main two service packages that you offer, right?
Hmm.
But at the same time, you can always like because you have your you know what your baseline is. If they want a little something that needs to be customized, obviously it's going to be customized a bit, right? Because every
Yeah.
organization is unique, but at least you have your baseline and you know what that is, and you know what that price is. So I know
Yes.
that that's so powerful. I know what's for me, and so for so many of you, like once you have that, then adding on or tweaking something else is easy to figure out, and you know where that pricing is even coming from, right? Because you've been working on
Yes.
your value-based pricing in this in the academy.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's easier to then say, okay, here's what it is. You can turn it around in a
Mm,
day versus trying to figure what that is out from scratch every time,
yes.
right?
Absolutely. And Holly, I want to thank you too, because I don't even know if you remember this, but I believe it was one of our coaching sessions a couple weeks ago. And I said, hey, I want to offer this, say, for instance, the Master Grant application template, and for one project, for one specific type of program.
Mhm.
And so, however, if they're coming back for another program, it probably won't take us long and whatnot. However, that value based pricing has been key, and so I appreciate you teaching us about that. And so
Mhm.
one of the things you said, I was like, well, I can like take half off. And you said, oh, no, no, no. Do no. The value is more than that. Even though it's not going to take you as long, but you're still doing the work and they're getting the full value. And I knew about value-based pricing a little bit. It's well, it was my first time hearing about it from the nonprofit consulting conference, yes, a couple
Yeah.
months ago. But I really was not that familiar. And so one of those sessions really opened up my eyes and I started researching. And then working with you, it's really taught me a lot about the value-based pricing. So I thank you for
Oh,
that.
you're welcome. It's so good. I know, and a lot of people haven't heard of it, right? They're kind of like, what is that? Is that just like a fancy thing that's getting like a trending word that's getting thrown around? But it really isn't. It is that there's a
Right.
formula and there's a process and it can be tangible, especially
Yes.
for service-based organizations. Any service-based organizations should be using
Hmm.
value-based pricing. Product-based, products or businesses a little different, but
Right.
service-based because we don't have like tangible widgets. You know what
Yes.
I mean? I
Yes.
mean, we have the master grant application, which becomes a tangible widget, but
Right.
we can figure out how to create those products as well
Yes.
and understand that. So I'm so glad that it's resonated so much with you because I'm so
Yes.
passionate about value-based pricing. It like turned my world
Yeah.
around once I started applying it and really understanding how to utilize it. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
love it.
thank
And
you.
so, yeah, and it's worked for your business.
Hmm.
You said you've actually brought on before in the past, you would have 3 or 4 clients that would just come to you once in a while for different projects, but now you have 3 more clients and it's more like these more package kind of based
Yes.
as you're working with them, right? So it's more steady income, more clients, that sort of thing. So how is
Yes.
that? And just by getting clear and having your services, do you really feel like that's where it's
Oh,
projected, like, you know. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. I feel more confident. I think that my clients feel better too
Yep.
because
Yep.
they are it's not just a well, if they want a one time, I could do a one time, one time application or whatnot. But hopefully they see a greater value in a package and working together for a certain time frame. Oftentimes I'm just throwing a number out there, but let's say investing $5,000 now, but you make it I don't know, 200,000 after, working together. And so in a year or in a couple months, 385,000, you know what I mean, from one
Which
grant.
you just
And
got.
so
Yep.
yes, and so
Yep.
you think about that value and it's like, oh wow. So
Yeah.
yeah, my packages are clearer and hopefully clients and the community can see the value in that investing in their organizations. And hopefully I can have a service that they see this is beneficial to them because I know that their funds are very valuable. As you know, with smaller businesses and nonprofits, oftentimes as a founder or the executive director, we know that sometimes you're not bringing in those funds. And so we know that sometimes you're using money out of your own pocket. So hopefully organizations will see the value of bringing a freelance grant writer on to
Yeah.
hopefully generate that revenue and to
Absolutely.
increase,
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Now,
increase
hopefully,
their,
absolutely, girl. Yeah, because
yes,
you've been able to see it with the clients that you work with, right? That investment. And even if the grants don't get awarded, and I know you're winning grants left and right, but even if they don't, the powerful thing that you talked about from the beginning was you help them get clear on that program,
yes,
right? And that
absolutely.
master grant application, like they can use that to ask donors for money because now they have specific things that they're asking for and they have sources and citations to back up the need for that.
Hmm.
They've done their research there, right? They can ask sponsors to come in. It doesn't need to only be used for grants, right? It
Yes.
helps the clarity so then they're all more efficient in their work. They know what they're working towards.
Mm,
It's not just like this abstract need, right? But they're like, oh, we
right.
know exactly how to address it now, how many people we're going to serve or what cause area we're going to do, blah, 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 how much it's going to cost.
Hmm.
So they're more prepared to do the work efficiently and effectively and with meaning and purpose behind it. So even if the
Mm,
grants don't get awarded right away, we know eventually they're going to be coming in,
yep.
absolutely. But there's other ways that they can get funding from that, right? So I mean,
Yes.
that's amazing. Yeah,
Yes, yes. I
it's
think that is wonderful. Actually, one of the grants that I was just writing this weekend, she's getting some clarity, and one of her goals is to actually develop more corporate partners. And so
nice.
hopefully with the information that we put together
Yeah.
inside of her master grant application template, with all the research and all with everything that goes into it, hopefully she can take that to those partners. She's not looking for funding from them. She's looking for support and hopefully someone that she can go and facilitate trainings with them and such. And so that information within that grant application, it could be used, like you said, for in other areas.
For sure. And now she has
Mhm.
outcomes and outputs. So when she asks somebody, hey, come on, we're going to do this program and it's going to serve X number of people, and this is the outcomes they're going to get, and this is what's going to change in their lives, right? Now she
Yes.
inspires them instead of just like, hey, can you help me do this thing, that, like, and there's no clear, like, well, how do I become involved with that in a
Mm,
meaningful way? How long is that going to take, right? She can overcome those objections, right?
right,
That come up.
right.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I love
Absolutely.
that. That's the way you're utilizing
Yes.
that. That's such a good
Oh,
idea.
thanks. Thank
Yeah,
you, thank you. And
perfect.
can I ask too that one thing that I really enjoy about the academy are the resources and the templates.
Yeah.
They have been
Yeah.
a lifesaver. I was listening to the Grant Professionals Association. I tuned into the conference virtually,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
attended a session. Yeah, I attended a session on logic models.
Mhm.
Logic models have not been my favorite. And so just naturally they have not. And so actually I went into our Academy Hub and
Mhm.
I found you actually had two logic model templates
Yep.
in there. And
Yep.
I found them to be so helpful, so
Love that.
clear. And in addition to the templates, you actually had a video where you went step by step. And so it's just the Academy has provided so much value. It's just so much value. I
I
just want
love
to
that
add
you're
that.
utilizing it. Yeah, you're because you
Mhm.
it has the business side, right? Here's how to do your sales, figure out your pricing, all of getting clear on your clients. But we also have the entire grant writing master course and all of the templates and tools, just how to write grants, because we don't want you just to get clients. We want you to be successful when you get clients and to
Mm,
keep mastering your grant skills, because then you're going to be able to raise more money for your clients, right? And
absolutely.
that's so important to us to
Hmm.
change, right? So, and then you're just gonna
Yes.
be able to be more confident, so I love that you're utilizing that portion on how to just, and we have the grant reviews like you mentioned, so we can always do that
Hmm.
as well. And we have the
Hmm.
business reviews that you've been taking advantage of. And another really cool thing that I always love, I like highlighted you in the Slack channel because I was like, oh, I love what you're doing. Because I've seen you on LinkedIn and you're posting those wins too. Like when you win
Yeah.
10,000 or 2,500 or 385 or 50, okay, you're posting that on LinkedIn, and you kind of said you
Yes.
just kind of got the confidence to start doing that. And that's where you've been able to secure a lot of discovery calls, right? Because you're posting.
Absolutely.
So can you talk
Yes.
about that?
Yes.
Because I was like, that's cool that you kind of ran with that, just like getting more confident, because we post those things inside the Slack channel, right? So
Yes.
did that kind of inspire you to be like, oh, I'm getting feedback here, I'm posting it here, why don't I post it somewhere else?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, it did encourage me. Number one, the academy is helping me to get out of my comfort zone and say, "Hey, Lauren, you are skilled. There are others rooting for you. Go ahead and share." And then the second thing that being in the academy has really, like I stated, helped me to fine tune and become clear about my services. Because I actually just started posting those grant awards. I want to say 4 or 6 weeks ago. It's been very recent. And
Mhm.
ever since then, I get discovery calls, every week and requests for those. And it's been very helpful. But my hesitation before was that I did not know, okay, once they reach out to me, what am I going to offer? I wasn't
Yeah.
very clear in that. And so that was a great bit of my hesitation. But now I have clarity about my packages and my offerings, and even the process from even using a Calendly or some type of tool like that. I didn't even have that.
Oh,
So,
you
hey, I'm
started
going to
that in
post.
here. Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
sorry.
yeah. You started that in
Yeah.
here, the Calendly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh-huh.
And so yeah, I didn't even have that. So hey, yeah, I'm going to post this, but what next? I
Right.
didn't know the what next. And since
Yeah.
being in the academy, I've been able to answer those what next questions and be more prepared, be more professional and confident. And it's just been a game changer. It
I love
has.
it. And just in 3 months, like, it does not take long to go, you don't have to go through every single module. We have a lot of curriculum in there, but you don't have to do every, you can, like you did, I need to know about logic models now because that's what I'm writing, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
jump in that. Or I need to know about sales or how to set up my Calendly, I'm gonna jump in there, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, we kind of recommend, like, start here and do these, but there's extra things that you can dive into. So I
Hmm.
love that, yeah, you came in, you're like, okay, I need to, that's one of our main philosophies too, is really straightening out your industry concept and figuring out your services, right? Because
Mm,
from there, like you said, everything else, now you can start marketing, right? Now that you can
yes.
get into your sales. So a lot of times out there, why freelance grant writers aren't, being able to make income is because they're just not doing sales like you, because they're not confident before, right, about their prices or
Hmm.
packaging. So they're not really marketing themselves or doing sales calls because they don't even know how to set that up or where that goes.
Right.
Not
Hmm.
complicated, but once you get it, and then it just like boom,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, absolutely. And I feel like we just take baby steps. We're just
Yeah,
taking little steps. And so
yeah,
say for instance, like the brochure, you have a template for a brochure for your company in there. Let me tell you, Holly, I have been working on that for a couple weeks. And so it's baby, not that
basic.
it's taken me that long, but I just have not sat down and have done it. So, but it's
Yes.
not fully necessary. It's on my list to do, it's on my to-do list. But first step, setting up the Calendly. Second step,
Yeah.
just create a Canva post or whatever you use for posting, and just do little steps. And so it doesn't take that much, but we just do what we can. So
Mhm.
because oftentimes a lot of us, well, I know that you work your business full time, but for some of us, we still have full-time jobs. And so we can only do what we can and what we have the capacity to do, especially trying to still manage our businesses and our full-time jobs and our sanity and self-care. So,
Oh, for sure.
so
For sure.
we can just do what we can. So everyone who's listening, just remember, just do baby steps, do what you can,
Mhm.
and you'll get there.
Yeah, you can be like, okay, in 3 months, I'm going to have this done. And in 3 months, I'm going to do that. And that's why we offer 12
Yeah.
months in this program, because we don't want it to be overwhelming. We want
Yep.
support, to support you as you're growing and different things come up, right? Different client
Hmm.
conversations that you want feedback on, or you're tweaking things, right? So it's really to
Yes.
do that. But I just love the way you've come in, and even like, so as you're working the program, you have more clients that are coming in, but because you've gotten clearer on your services and you've almost created more like for you as well, SOPs, right? Like here's this my now
Mm.
I'm doing MGAs where I'm doing the master grant applications and I know how to
Yep.
do this process. So even though you're getting more clients and more steady work, do you feel like you're working a lot more? Or do you feel like, okay, this is actually for the amount of work I'm working now, it's actually doesn't feel like I might have thought it could have felt?
Yeah. I actually don't feel I feel like I have more clarity, and I feel like I have a system
Yes.
for the work, like you said. So I don't feel like it's, even though I have more clients and I have more projects on my list, which is a good thing, but I don't feel like it's as stressful as I felt before when
Wow.
you know what I mean, like projects
Mhm.
coming left or right and whatnot, different types. Now I
Yeah.
have clarity, and it's like, okay, this is my master grant application week. I'm going to knock out 2 or 3 of them,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean. And yeah, I have a lot more clarity
Mhm.
and a like a process to
I
do
love
things.
that.
Also,
Mhm.
yeah, also I'm able to figure out how many projects can I take on. I know
Yeah.
that that was actually a question, I believe, in our last
Mhm.
coaching call. Someone asked about, when is too
Yeah.
much, when is it too much? And I'm figuring that out. That's another that's another thing. But I really feel like synthesizing my services has really helped to say, okay, Lauren, you can take this on. Or hey,
Mhm.
when somebody reaches out, you can say, oh yes, I'm very interested. However, I won't be able to take on this project until in a month or whatnot.
Okay.
I want to be able to provide my undivided attention to you, and so I have a couple projects going on, but
Mhm.
in a month I'll be able to work with you. And so
Mhm.
and I really think that the academy has helped me to figure those things out, the business part of being a grant professional.
That's huge. And I love that you're saying not only is it like it's less stressful even than before, like having more
Yeah.
clients is less stressful. Like that's amazing because of the systems. And now you can, and I love that, like you can start booking out your clients in advance. How
Yes.
amazing is that? You can now
It
you have
feels pretty
actually a
good.
wait list. So yeah, it's like that creates now that must create a lot of feelings of stability for you, like financial stability. And
It
like, and
does.
do you have more of that now because of these systems and
I
or
do, yeah, a good
Mhm.
a good bit. I do have a couple clients that I said, "Hey, I won't be able to start on this, say, till the beginning of the new year,
Mhm.
but I will contact you when we're ready to get started, the second week in January, and we will get that done." And they're like, "Okay." And remember, with some of these smaller organizations and businesses, they appreciate that because sometimes they need some time to get their funds together,
Right.
and so, and that is okay with me. So as you're getting your funds together and making sure you're securing that, so you can hire a professional, I'll go ahead and get what I have off of my plate so I can focus on you. And it's sort of like a win-win.
Oh yeah, I love that. And now you're creating these wait lists and you understand, okay, maybe like if you finish up a little bit early, you can say, hey, I can take you on early if you're ready for that.
Yep.
Like, so now you have that to be built up, and that's so much better than just waiting for people to contact you and all the internal
Yeah.
stress that that can cause, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I'm so proud of
Absolutely.
you. So proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
So happy for you. So, this has all been amazing, and I know we're at the end of our time now. So I want to make sure the people that are listening to you today, that are like, that is totally, we are a grassroots nonprofit. We're starting out as a business. That sounds like something I totally want, and I'm on board. Even if I have to be on a wait list. Where can they contact you?
Yes. Well, first, thanks so much for being interested in working with me. I'm excited to speak with you. You can go to my website, preparedtoimpact.com, or you can email me at Lauren, Lauren, at preparedtoimpact.com. I'll be happy to schedule a free 30-minute consultation with you and just to learn more about your organization and see how we can partner together so I can help you to reach your organizational goals.
I
So
love
thank
that
you.
so much, Dr. Lauren. Yes, and just bringing that to us, like, and I love this, your background. I love that you have this really robust background as well in evaluations. Like, that's so important. And you can tie that all together. So, oh my gosh, yeah, 500,000 in a few months in grant funding
Mm,
and bringing
it's
on these
wonderful.
clients. Sounds good, right? I know, and all of that. So
Thank you.
that is prepared to impact. You ain't preparing, you are prepared. I love that. So, once again, thank you
Thank
for being
you.
part of the academy too. I'm so happy that you're a part of it. I know we had a call before you joined and you're like, is this for
Mhm.
me? And I was like, yes, it's for you. So I'm glad that you're like, yes, this is for me and you're in it now.
Absolutely.
We have time and I can't wait to see everything, how you're going to keep growing and as you grow
Yeah.
your business over the next year, that we are together or more. Like I said, you can always
Or
say more.
more. Mhm.
Yeah. So thank you for coming on the show again. And yeah,
Thank
congratulations again to
you.
all of your success and all of the impact that you've had in the world.